Hi friends, Conrad here, going to teach you how to make a great old-fashioned using stuff you already have at home. It's a really simple cocktail. It is also one of the oldest cocktails in history. Actually, the first references to the old-fashioned go back to 1802. Now, it became codified as a cocktail officially in the 1860s, but no matter how you slice it, there's documentation of people drinking something like what we're going to make all the way back into the times of our founding fathers, talking the early and mid 1700s even. So you only need a few simple things, many of which you have at home. I'm going to be using some agave to begin with. Now you could use turbinado sugar, which is marketed as Florida crystals. I'm using agave. You could also use sugar in the raw as a liquid. Now, everyone gets really freaked out about how much sweetener to use. I like to put the sweetener in first. I'm gonna just coat the bottom of my mixing beaker here, and I'm using a beaker. I'm not using a pint glass. I'm not using a shaker. We're gonna put some great rye whiskey in here, which is not something that you wanna shake around. You wanna just stir it gently. So we're using the beaker. We're putting that in first, you know, because if we screw up, we could always undo it, all right? We could always start over again. So we're not locked in by having great whiskey in there first. Next, we're going to add some bitters. Really simple. Bitters is actually a tincture. What that is it's spices, herbs, sometimes it's tree resin and other stuff dissolved in alcohol. It's a cocktail additive, a flavoring. Most of you at home, you probably have one that looks just like this. This is Angostura bitters. This is from Trinidad. Now what we got here is their signature white label. It's a little too big for the bottle. That's how you know you found it. And if you don't have any at home, go to your aunt's or grandma's house and take a look. I'm gonna put in 4 or 5 dashes. Be generous. Do not be shy with bitters. Bitters make a great old-fashioned even better. Now, I'm going to also use the red bitters, Peychaud's. Now, Peychaud's is a New Orleans staple. And this is going to be a little bit more astringent, slight medicinal note in the Peychaud's bitters, but this is really gonna take your old-fashioned to the next level. So if you have some at home, use this. I'm gonna do another 4 or 5 dashes. Don't be shy about it, guys. Now, if you have some citrus bitters at home, like Angostura orange, or maybe some Fee Brothers West Indian orange or something you got on Amazon, throw some citrus bitters in there too, what the heck. Now, I've got that sort of turning into a little bit of a slurry down in the bottom, and I'm gonna go with Pennsylvania Rye, Resurgent Rye. Now, normally I'm a bourbon drinker, as most of you might know, but we're doing rye tonight. Rye is a little bit spicier than bourbon, and also it's a little bit nuttier. Comes off a little less sweet than bourbon, which is why it makes such a great old-fashioned. Now, the truth is, you can make an old-fashioned out of almost any spirit you want. This would be a fantastic cocktail to do with a dark aged rum, even something as easy to buy as Goslings. I've heard people drinking this with Captain Morgan too. It's not my thing, but it totally would work if you like spiced rum. If I'm gonna do it with rum, I use something really sexy like Zaya or Zacapa. But today I'm using one of my favorite Pennsylvania ryes. Pennsylvania, very famous for rye whiskey. This is the Resurgent Rye. This is made by Brandywine Branch Distillers. Love this rye, and because it's a Pennsylvania product, you can buy it right now real easily at their shop. So we're gonna go for some Pennsylvania Rye. That's the sound of success, friends. Now, you could use a jigger, but since you're doing this at home, I suggest you measure it with your heart. So we're gonna get at least 2 healthy ounces of rye in there, maybe a little bit more if you're anything like me, and I suspect you might be. Now we're gonna add some loose ice. You could use ice out of your refrigerator's ice maker for this, but I like to use ice that's a little bit bigger than that, a little bit denser than that, and I'll tell you why. Ice that comes out of an ice machine is really low density ice. It melts just a little bit too fast, We're gonna just give this a nice stir. You don't need to shake, you don't need to over agitate, but you're gonna give it a nice stir. What you're gonna see happen here is the volume in your beaker or your mixing glass is going to increase and cover the ice. This is the valuable dilution that you need that makes your old-fashioned absolutely perfect. Now, I'm using, instead of a bar spoon, I'm actually using a pipette like you might have seen in a chemistry class, because this allows me to give it a quick sample and know that I'm locked in. Lovely stuff, friends. Gonna use a strainer. I like julep strainers. You've probably seen these at yard sales. I still use them. A lot of you, if you have some bar supplies at home, might be using one of these things. That's cool too. Not my jam. I'm gonna go in with the julep strainer and get this beautiful old-fashioned over a big, sexy cube of ice. Isn't that satisfying? And you notice how bartenders, they just always know with their soul how much is really gonna fit in there. Can't explain it, just one of those magical things. The universe helps us out with that. Now, citrus does an old-fashioned well, so I'm gonna do an orange. Sometimes I'll do an orange and a lemon. You could use a grapefruit. Any citrus fruit is gonna really light this up. Here's what you wanna do. Just grab your own vegetable peeler. Get a nice, sexy peel off here. We're looking for oil. So we're going to pinch it over top, get the oil out, take your peel, wipe it around. And don't be afraid to wipe it down low, right? Because you want some of that on your hands when you drink the old fashioned. You want that orange oil or that lemon oil to be part of the experience, sort of tickling your nose, getting on your fingers. I smell it right now. My hands kind of smell like what the drink is gonna smell like, and it's making me anticipate it all the more. So there you are, classic old fashioned. This is one of the most classic renditions, and one I promise you'll love. You'll notice no crushed up fruit, no muddled cherry, no 1960s BS. Keep all of that junk out of your good whiskey and enjoy.